There is a plant growing in a pot on a rooftop in Mexico City right now. The building's owner is 71 years old. She has been growing it her entire life. Her grandmother grew it. Her grandmother's grandmother grew it. An unbroken chain of cultivation stretching back 8,000 years. Through a Spanish conquest that tried to erase it. Through 500 years of agricultural suppression. Through a food system that replaced it with crops that feed corporations instead of families. The plant is amaranth. And before this video ends, I'm going to show you a document from the Spanish colonial archives dated 1569 that explicitly ordered the destruction of every amaranth field in the Americas. Not because it was dangerous, because a population that grows its own complete protein is a population that is very difficult to control. You already know this plant. You've walked past it your whole life and called it a weed. That tall, reddish-purple flowering plant growing in the crack of a sidewalk, along the edge of an abandoned lot. That's amaranth. The same plant the Aztec Empire collected 200,000 bushels of every year as tribute. The same plant warriors carried into battle because it was calorie-dense, shelf-stable for years without refrigeration, and light enough to carry in serious quantity. Growing wild, in the crack of a sidewalk, for free. Here's what makes amaranth different from every other plant on this channel. The human body needs 9 essential amino acids. Essential means the body cannot produce them. They have to come from food. Most plant proteins are incomplete, missing 1 or more of those 9. That's why people are told to combine beans and rice. Together, they cover the full spectrum. Amaranth doesn't need combining. It contains all 9 essential amino acids. On its own. Complete protein. More protein per cup than beef. More iron per gram than beef. More calcium per gram than milk. From a plant that grows in poor soil, in drought, in a pot on a balcony, in 60 to 90 days from seed. One plant produces 50,000 seeds. From a $5 packet. The Aztec Empire ran on amaranth. At its peak, the civilization collected over 200,000 bushels per year as tribute from conquered territories. It was currency. It was medicine. It was the foundation of a food system that supported 15 million people in a region that receives less rain than most American suburbs. In ancient Greece, amaranth was called the immortal flower. Amaranthos in Greek means unfading. The plant kept producing long after everything around it had died. In Asia, amaranth has been cultivated for over 8,000 years. In Africa, it remains a staple crop today in regions where soil conditions make conventional farming nearly impossible. 3 continents, 8,000 years, all arriving at the same conclusion independently. This plant feeds people when nothing else will. Then the Spanish arrived. They saw the Aztecs using amaranth in religious ceremonies, and they banned it. They burned the crops. They destroyed the seed stores. The colonial document from 1569, still in the Spanish colonial archive in Seville, explicitly prohibits cultivation of amaranth under penalty of severe punishment. Not because it caused harm, because it represented independence. Because a population that feeds itself from a plant that grows anywhere is a population that does not need what the colonial power is selling. The global grain market generates over $700 billion annually. 4 crops, wheat, corn, rice, soybeans, feed the majority of humanity. 4 crops, 4 points of failure. A plant that thrives in drought, grows in heat that kills wheat, and improves in soil that grain crops refuse, with no fertilizer, no pesticide, no irrigation, is not something the grain industry has any incentive to promote. That's not a coincidence. I came across this when the grocery bill for protein kept climbing every month. I bought a $5 packet of amaranth seeds, planted 1 pot, ignored it for 2 months, came back to a plant 4 feet tall with a seed head the size of my forearm. I harvested it, cooked it like rice. 1 cup, 9 grams of complete protein, more iron than a serving of beef, from a plant I had grown in a pot in 60 days, for $5. Here's exactly how to grow it. Seeds. Amaranth seeds are available online for $5 a packet. 2 varieties to know. Amaranthus cruentus, for grain production. Maximum seed yield. Amaranthus tricolor, for leaf production. Continuous harvest, both edible in every part. Soil. Standard potting mix works perfectly. Amaranth performs better in slightly poor soil than in heavily fertilized mixes. Too much nitrogen produces leaves at the expense of seeds. Do not fertilize it. Leave it slightly hungry. That is when it produces. Container. A 5-gallon pot per plant. One plant in a 5-gallon pot produces enough seeds to replant dozens next season. Sunlight. Full sun. 6 to 8 hours minimum. Water. Deeply once a week. Let the soil dry completely between waterings. Germination in 7 to 14 days. Now here's the upgrade most people miss, the part that doubles the harvest. Harvest leaves continuously from the bottom as the plant grows. Every leaf you take from the bottom sends energy upward to the seed head. You are directing the plant, not harvesting it. The more you take from the bottom, the more it produces at the top. One plant feeding you greens all season while simultaneously building a seed head containing 50,000 seeds for next year. One honest note, because it always belongs here. Amaranth contains oxalic acid, the same compound in spinach. For most people, this is not a concern. For people with kidney stones or kidney disease, high oxalate foods should be consumed in moderation. If that applies to you, cook the leaves before eating. Cooking reduces the oxalic acid content significantly. The World Health Organization estimates that 815 million people globally are chronically undernourished. A plant that grows in drought, in poor soil, in a pot, in 60 days, producing complete protein and 50,000 seeds to replant forever, has been studied and confirmed by every agricultural research institution that has looked at it. What's missing is the financial incentive for anyone with a marketing budget to put it in front of people. You can't patent Amaranth. You can't sell someone a $5 packet of seeds and then charge them again next year for the seeds the plant already produced. The Spanish burned the fields in 1569. The knowledge survived anyway. It always does. In rooftop pots in Mexico City, in farmers markets in Oaxaca, in the crack of a sidewalk in every city in North America. $5. One pot. 60 days. And the most suppressed crop in the Western Hemisphere starts feeding you. I don't know what brought you here. Maybe it's the grocery bill that makes protein feel like a luxury. Maybe you're building something off-grid, and a reliable food source is the piece that worries you most. Maybe you just like knowing what the Aztec warriors knew and ended up here at midnight following a question you couldn't stop. It doesn't matter. The plant grows either way. Now you know how. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.